Hello everybody. I really thought that next time you saw me on YouTube I'd be working on a series of 3 HW95s. One that's already carved that I'm finishing and two more that I have to carve. But instead I got this emergency hurry up repair job in the mail yesterday, and so I just need to think about how we're going to accomplish this. I hope you can tell through YouTube's dumbing down of the quality of the video. This incredible feather crotch Northern California black walnut stock. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, look at the other side. Amazing, huh? And this is for a Whiscombe. That's a very expensive twin spring gun. You can look up on YouTube and learn more about it. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that they were a fairly small production run done in England. I think the guy's name was John, maybe Whiscombe. I didn't fact check this before talking to you. Whiscombe, though, is the name of the gun, and it's an under lever cocker, and when you cock it, it pulls one spring back that is going to shoot the pellet, and it pulls another spring back, or forwards, I guess. It compresses another spring in the opposite direction that doesn't shoot the pellet, just counteracts the motion of the spring that is shooting the pellet. So it is basically recoilless, so I hear. I've never shot one, even though I had this in my own, here in the shop for, a long time working on this project. Must have taken 6 months or more, but I never did shoot it. I don't like shooting client guns unless they specifically ask me to. So, as you can see, this one is, the stock is laying here in pieces. This blank, just the blank of wood, I think it was $1,200 or $1,500, somewhere in that range. This is exotic wood. But reason you don't see feather crotch on long guns too much is the way the grain flows. It's called feather crotch for a reason, because it's the stresses of the main branches coming off of the trunk of the walnut tree, the wind imparts on the branch that throws this figure, if you will. It's not really figure, this feather look. I guess you could call it figure. I usually refer to figure as being the wrinkled wood look, and feather or flame crotch is this kind of pattern, but whatever. Because of the nature of where this comes out of the tree, it's really rare to get a piece of feather that also has grain going straight down the forearm in a strong direction. It'd be even rare to have the grain flow up through the pistol grip and then down through the forearm, which is the strongest situation. Brings the highest dollar for a gun stock that's not feather crotch. And with feather crotch, that'd be so rare, it'd be astronomical. It'd just be like very expensive and be very rare. So the reason this broke when it dropped is the fact that the grain direction, and you can kind of see here, it's really going this way, right? The figure goes this way, but the grain goes kind of weak. And I can see it sweeping up here through the pistol grip, which is nice. So this is strong. It's not going to break across the wrist, but when it came up into here, it's very difficult to tell. There's so much figure in this wood. But if we look at the forearm, it looks like the grain almost goes straight across it. And, I think these things go for like $7,000 or $8,000. I mean, don't quote me, look it up online, I'm probably wrong. Maybe as low as $6,000. I don't think they're less than that, though. They're very expensive guns. And with an extraordinarily rare and expensive custom gun stock, this is the kind of package that you would keep in the gun case until you're ready to shoot it on the firing line, shooting a field target game. Take it out of the case, shoot your shots, put it back in the case, and you'd baby it, right? I mean, the value is way up there on this thing. So I don't know what happened with this. I sure hope it wasn't the old thing about standing it up on a wall, with the butt on the ground and the barrel on the wall. Please, people, don't do that. Most gun stocks that I have repaired have been because of people doing that, and then the gun slips and hits the floor, and the shock of the impact will just snap the stock. Usually it snaps across the wrist. This is unique in that the way the forearm attaches to the action, it's held at the front of the action, here towards the rear of the action, and then there's a bolt that goes through right here at the rear of the trigger guard. And so this whole section is absolutely solid. It's enclosed, not enclosed. It's this the exoskeleton for the skeleton of the steel. I guess that's poorly said, but the steel is definitely going to keep this much just rigid, and there's no way this can break. But right past this, that's a significant stress riser in a very weak area, with the grain probably not going in the best direction anyway. But frankly, even if it was going in the right direction, I don't know if this could have survived. I mean, that's not a lot of wood to expect to stand up to those kind of forces. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some pins in both sides and span this gap. Now, if we can get those pins into the buttstock, really not very far at all, this should never break again, and I don't think the stock can break here, so it'll certainly way improve its strength. Hopefully nobody drops it again. I mean, it should have been fine the way it was, just had to be treated carefully. But the trick is there's not a lot of wood to work with, so I'm thinking they could be 1/8" pins, maybe 3/16. I think quarter's pushing it. I'd like to get 2, maybe 3 pins in per side. So that's going to be fine for the strength and easy enough. I'll have to look at my material and maybe get some steel rod. I might see some stuff from here on the rack. I haven't looked yet. So one side, this side, goes together quite nicely with very little effort at all. I can place that up on there and it looks absolutely seamless. Now let me just try to zoom you in here and show you. There, it just fits together like a jigsaw puzzle, and I'm looking in the camera, so I'm difficult to get it just right here, but you can see that's going to be really, really good. No problem there. There is a little piece of wood missing, here inside the pistol grip, trigger guard area. Let me zoom this back out, which we'll have to fill, but that's not like it's on the outside. That's not going to be a big deal. However, the way the force was imparted into this thing when it fell, it looks like this section ripped away like that, because there's a piece of wood that's not fully removed that's broken right here. Oh, it's so fun to play with the camera controls, but it's so difficult to stay in the view. But you can kind of see here that this chip is broken. So I'll have to glue that in before, or maybe at the same time as the rest of the operation. I'm not sure yet. But the challenge is this section does not just slip together with a nice fit. Oh, let me zoom out. It's too hard to stay in the view. And if I can keep my hands out of the way. So if I piece this all together, it's like the wood is distorted or something. It does not fit absolutely perfectly together, but if I push it really hard, it gets close. And that's there, if you can see, that wouldn't be too bad. So it's definitely going to need some force. So I got this really cool, it's probably an antique, bar clamp. There's the moving part of it, and then down here, the anvil is it's a locking pawl. Fits into these notches. Let me move this down. Isn't that cool? Got this at a barn sale a long time ago, and it's just really perfect for this kind of operation that we need to do on this stock. So we're going to wrap this so we don't scratch the wood up too much. The whole thing's going to get worked pretty hard, or good I should say. Still try to minimize how much more work I got to do. I don't want to cause more damage. So we'll lay some cloth over that, and probably going to take some jigging and some alignment, and probably have to support this way and get the stock laying on top. Probably have to take the recoil pad off. Oh, excuse me. This is a recoilless gun. It's not a recoil pad. Call it a butt pad. So probably have to take that off. We'll see. Maybe having the rubber might be nice to have something to grip onto. We'll just it'll tell me what we want to do. And it's going to be a little tricky because I'll have to do this upside down, so I won't be seeing the cut. Might have to lay this out, maybe lay this on the table and block the forearm up with some blocks so that it's in alignment, and put the clamp over the top of it so I can see what's going on. It's going to take a lot of experiments before I'm ready to put glue on it, and then we'll squish it together. Now, it would have been nice if we could have put those reinforcing pins in when I carved the gun stock to begin with, but that would not have been possible. There's no way to do that unless you purposefully cut this, put pins in, put it together, and then carve the stock and hope you put the pins in the right place. That just wouldn't have been possible. So it is what it is. Now, if the repair ends up being ugly, I mean, I think one side is going to be almost invisible. But even almost invisible might be not cool. I mean, we want to maintain the value of the gun, not just turn it back into a shooter. I mean, that's cool. And the guy does have a deadline for his field target season, so we're certainly going to try to meet that deadline. But more than just turning it back into a functional shooting device, it'd be nice if it maintained its value. So an idea I have, we'll see how it turns out, but if it doesn't look all that great, an idea I have is to mill a channel perpendicular to the top of the forearm, wide enough so it spans the crack, and cut it. I'd have to turn it in the milling machine and cut it across the trigger guard opening and the other side so that it would look like a U of material that had been placed across the stock all the way through and around. And while it could be done in brass, it'd be a lot of work, and we do have a time limit, so I'm thinking just use black glass impregnated resin, and I have done that before, and I have a vacuum system, which I can explain why that, but so that in itself may look like trying to turn a repair into a feature, which, hello, it is. But to make it look less like that and more like maybe it was done on purpose, I could cut the forearm screw holes, there's 2 on each side, and cut these with a Forstner to a larger diameter, fill them with the same glass impregnated epoxy resin, and then we'd have like this mirroring of features that might make a person think it was all done on purpose to be bling rather than hiding a crack repair. So hopefully we don't have to do that. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just right at the moment. This is the first time I really had a chance to look at it, and I'm doing it with you. So I'm just kind of brainstorming what we might do if the repair doesn't look that great. But it's certainly good. We're certainly going to be able to put this back into operation. It certainly will be functional again. So the first step's going to be finding the rods for spanning the gap and getting those cut. And what I'll do is I'll sand the rod first, then cut them into the pieces that we need, and it'll be like either 4 or 6. So either get 2 or 3 per side. We'll see how it goes. And then it's always tricky drilling the holes on both sides. They never line up. That's why I don't want to use the largest size rod that might fit in the space, because the hole always has to be maybe quite a bit larger than the size of the rod, because it's pretty much impossible to judge, what's going to be a lined up hole between the two. Excuse me. So we get the holes drilled, and get the rods cut, get the holes drilled, get it to where it actually fits together, do the experiments with how we're going to clamp it, and then we're going to mix glass fiber with epoxy resin and some Cavasil in order to thicken it, and walnut dust to color it. And we'll fill the holes, stick the rods in, and clamp the forearm pieces on. That's right, here's another tricky thing, is it'd be nice to be able to have these bolted to the action and put the whole thing together. This action weighs a ton. I could weigh it. I bet it's close to 10 pounds. It's a real tank. It would be very difficult to do that, but I'll think about it. I did, the fellow shipped it to me with the forearm pieces still attached to the action, and I did try to stick the buttstock on there in that configuration. Didn't really want to go. So, you know, once this is glued on with, and I know this is the wrong piece, but once this is glued on, even if the angle is a little wrong, there ought to be enough flex to be able to get in there, because these are so thin. Well, they don't exactly flex. So it's going to be a tricky repair, and so I hope I didn't bore you with my initial thoughts about this, but that's how these things start. Brainstorming, just trying to figure it out. And I look forward to doing it. You know, I never thought I'd see this stock again, frankly. And here it is. It's one of the most amazing pieces of wood I ever carved, and can't believe it's back here. And we'll do a good repair. One way or the other, we'll get something that will be functional and hopefully look good. Alright everybody, check back in here probably tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I gotta take the girlfriend fishing. Do you have to? Oh no. What a funny way to say it. I'm so lucky to have a girlfriend that likes to go fly fishing. So we're going to take the canoe out to a new place and go down this creek and see if we can find the dam at the bottom of Clear Lake, which is where I live, and fish along the way. Or maybe paddle like crazy and get there and then slowly fish all the way back. We'll see how it goes. But so I probably won't be in the shop tomorrow. And Sunday is church and breakfast and a little bit of house and garden work, and then see the girlfriend back off again because she just comes here for the weekend. So it'll probably be Monday when I'm back in the shop and we'll tackle this. Thanks for tuning in, people. Sorry I rambled for 17 minutes. Cross your fingers this comes out good, and check back in and see what I end up doing with it. And while you're at it, if you found this moderately entertaining, please hit the thumbs up button. Maybe comment down below. Tell me what you think I ought to do. And maybe you got a suggestion for me on how to line up 2 different holes to get the rod in there, because that's always the biggest challenge with this repair. And yep, like, comment, oh yeah, subscribe and share it out there in the world on your shop forums. Thanks a lot everybody. You'll see me soon. Bye.